Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. Alright, Ring of Honor final battle from Saturday night. Overall, fantastic show, top to bottom. I know a lot of people don't watch Ring of Honor now because it's behind a paywall, which you can get the entire library and everything for $9.99 a month. So what I do is I typically will wait till one of the big shows like this. They have like 4 a year now. And then I'll get it like 2 weeks before the show, watch the weekly stuff, watch the big show, watch the couple weeks after, and then not do it for a few months. So it's the way I watch it. But anyway, final battle, one of Ring of Honor's older shows, one of their kind of biggest shows of the year. We had 4 matches on the 0 hour. We had the Outrunners, Truth Magnum, and Turbo Floyd taking on the premier athletes Ariya Daivari and Tony Nese. We had Stormy Denali and Mark Sterling out at ringside. This Stormy Denali, I mean, she's what, 6'7", and just a beast. But Mark Sterling, just the little weasel that he is, constantly getting involved in stuff. He was out there trying to attack the Outrunners behind the referee's back, ended up stomping them on the outside. Truth Magnum kicked out of the with Ariya Daivari's carpet ride. I don't know if y'all have seen this before, but he literally lays a carpet out and then does kind of like a I don't know how to really describe the move, but kind of lands on the guy on the carpet, like almost like flies on the carpet. Typically nobody kicks out of this. It's kind of his finisher, but Truth Magnum was able to kick out of it. 9 minutes and 13 seconds. The Outrunners getting the victory there. I give it 2 3/4. It was one of those kind of good tag team pre-show kind of match, which is what it was. Next up, we had Leila Gray taking on Zayda Steel. Zayda Steel was actually part of the WWE ID program for a short time. Leila Gray, she's been hanging out with Skyflight, which is part of, Christopher Dean's little faction, with Scorpio Sky and Top Flight and everything, and he was at ringside with Leila Gray. Just a good little women's match, 6 minutes and 33 seconds. Leila Gray getting the victory. I gave this match 2 3/4 as well. The match of the pre-show, there were the next two, both were just dominant matches. We had Ace Austin versus Lee Johnson. Ace Austin, just as good as he is, he's been kind of lost, I think. I think when he was in TNA, he was that kind of up-and-coming, going to be a world champion. If he would have stayed, was a tag guy with Chris Bay for a while. But I think in AEW and Ring of Honor, he's kind of got lost his luster. I would love to see him go for like the TV title or the TNT title or something and kind of get him back on the track. I think he could be a main event guy. Shoddy Lee Johnson, the same way. And a lot of the announcers are even talking about this match. This is one of those matches, we're watching on the pre-show, but, 5 years down the line, this could have been a pay-per-view. Ace Austin, Lee Johnson. And, again, 9 minutes, 33 seconds, they did not disappoint at all in this match. I know Ace Austin went to do a dive on the outside. It looked kind of wonky. It's really only kind of one of those, it's a good match, but it was like, spots that kind of stick out. He went to dive, then he kind of went back, ran across the ring, and then went back to dive, and Lee moved, and he just stopped. So it's kind of whatever that sequence was supposed to be, you could tell something didn't quite go right, but I still gave the match 3.5 with Ace Austin getting the victory. And then the main event for the pre-show was the Death Riders, Dino Garcia, Wheeler Yuta, taking on the Grizzled Young Veterans. Liverpool's #1 Zack Gibson and James Drake. Good God, what a great tag team they are. Gibson did this freaking pump handle suplex with Garcia, pump handle suplex Garcia into the corner on Wheeler Yuta, who was sitting in the corner. Death Riders did the double corner back and forth, beating up Zack Gibson for a while. You had Mox on commentary, which was hilarious. But Death Riders, obviously, as good as they are, Dino Garcia, Wheeler Yuta was able to get the victory there, 10 minutes and 8 seconds. Great way to end a pre-show. With the victory there for Death Riders, I gave it 3.5 as well. When the main show started, we actually had John Moxley on commentary for a while. No, not like AEW. The pre-show match didn't run over to the main card. They properly ended it. But this is a big main card. I will say with Tony Khan, he does not leave you wanting more on his pay-per-views. And Final Battle did not disappoint. It was a great show, top to bottom. Some of the best women's matches of the year. First match was actually one of those ROH Women's Pure Title Tournament Finale for the championship. Deonna Purrazzo, the Virtuosos, taking on Billie Starkz for the Women's Pure Title. These Pure Title rules, if you're new to them, you're allowed one close fist, you're allowed 3 rope breaks. Once you use your 3 rope breaks, you're able to pin your opponent in the ropes, just like the men's rules. They were fighting on the outside. It kind of looked a little wonky, but they were fighting on the outside. Billie Starkz had Deonna down, and she pulled her arms behind her and put her foot to the back of her head like she was going to slam her face into the ring steps. And I don't want to say pussied out, but kind of when she did it, she just kind of and kind of pushed her to the side, not just whoosh, like you're trying to kill her kind of deal. So it looked a little wonky, but it was still kind of a cool spot. Billie Starkz did an Alabama Slam on the ringside. They talk about the ringside being the strongest part of the ring. Her Alabama slamming Deonna Purrazzo on there. Now Billie was using the rope breaks a lot. Deonna, through her 8 matches in the pure rules till this match, she had never used a single rope break. When she used one, even the announcers were like, this is the first time she's ever used a rope break in a pure match. And that was big for Billie Starkz to get Deonna to use one of the rope breaks. Deonna was able to get Billie to use all 3 of hers pretty quick. Was doing a couple big time submissions in the ropes to get her to right next to the ropes, and she literally let her. You could see in that final one, Deonna just kind of had her Billie in the submission hold, just let her kind of get a little closer to the ring, a little closer to the ropes, and just go ahead, grab the ropes, break it with the ropes, go ahead, I dare you. And she did. Deonna was able to win the match via submission. 13 minutes and 51 seconds. Deonna Purrazzo, your first ever Ring of Honor Women's Pure Champion. I give that match 3 3/4. It was one of the top tier matches of the year. One thing that we have gotten the last couple years at Final Battle that I think is really, really kind of cool is we've got Nigel McGuinness matches. We had it last year for the Pure title versus Lee Moriarty. And then obviously we got that tag match in AEW. We got the 4-way that Nigel was part of for the IWGP title on Collision. Then we had him on the Forbidden Door show versus Zack Sabre Jr. So we've gotten a little bit of Nigel in the last few years. I'm still wanting the Bryan Danielson, Nigel McGuinness, either at Forbidden Door or Final Battle next year, or at some point I'm wanting that match. But the fact that Nigel's coming out with his Pure title that he won, the original Pure title, and Lee Moriarty has obviously the modern day Pure title, and this wasn't a Pure title match, this was a 30-minute Iron Man match. And it was like, wow. I was just like, okay, we get Nigel for 30 minutes, I'm good with that. Him and Lee Moriarty, I mean, they kind of, part of it was more like a Pure Rules match, because what Lee Moriarty being the Pure Champion is what he's done a lot of. But you could see him looking at Shane Taylor every once in a while, because Shane was out there and going, wait, not Pure Rules, so we don't need to do the Pure stuff. These two fought back and forth. First fall went to Lee Moriarty by submission. Nigel went for the Tower of London. Lee got out of it. Nigel was, you could see him setting up all his just kind of the big moves, and the clothesline he does. He went for it a couple times, but toward the end of the match finally got it. But Nigel got the second fall. Or no, sorry, Lee Moriarty got the second fall. And it was actually, sorry, let me double check what I'm reading here. I wrote it all down here. So Nigel goes for towel, and then he gets the roll up by, and then Nigel gets the third fall by submission, so it was 2-1. And then Moriarty goes up 3-1. Nigel gets 3 straight falls to end up tying it up. And then Lee Moriarty got one. So Nigel went up 4-3. Sorry. They tied it up on the 6th fall. Nigel went up 4-3 with like 15 seconds left in the match. Lee Moriarty was able to get a quick roll up. So when 30 minutes expired, it was tied at 4. And the history of these two, what this match was about, is they've had 2 matches, Lee Moriarty and Nigel McGuinness. They were 1-1. And so this was going to be that match that just broke that tie. And so both of them being Nigel being the former pure champion, Lee being the pure champion. That's why I went 30-minute Iron Man. So when they tied it up after 30 minutes, at first, no one wanted to do the sudden death. And then they ended up talking to the referee, and they ended up doing it where it was sudden death. Basically, next fall ends the match no matter when it is. So we had that sudden death. So the match ended up going 31 minutes and 59 seconds. We ended up having Lee Moriarty getting that final fall on Nigel and winning the match 5-4. So 9 falls total in the 31 minutes and 59 seconds. I give it 4.25. Coupled the way the falls went, it was kind of wonky to me, and it kind of that many falls in 30 minutes. And I get you can't have the 1-0 Iron Man match, 0-0 at the end of 16, that kind of stuff. But it's like, this was a lot of kind of wonky falls and things that typically wouldn't happen in a regular match. And I hate some of these matches like this where okay, it's going to go 30 at least. More than likely, they're going to get it to go overtime. Just have a match and then let it go 35, 40 minutes and give us that one fall at the end. Like, we're like, oh, okay. Finally, kind of deal. But you know what? It was a great match, though. Lee Moriarty winning 4.25. Excited to see how Lee Moriarty builds off of this with that pure title, and how just watching Nigel kind of that pass the torch moment. And I'm hoping Cena does the same thing when he loses at Saturday Night Main Event, which we know he won't, versus Gunther. But yeah, just that moment of Nigel. I'm like, okay, we need to use Nigel sparingly. Get the Bryan Danielson, maybe get a Okada or people like that. Kind of use him, kind of like WWE used the Undertaker toward the end of his career. Kind of pull him out for big matches and leave him, kind of put him on that shelf. Let him, okay, we need some Nigel. So keep him on commentary, definitely. Next up, we had the Ring of Honor Women's World Television title. This was one of 13 titles held by Mercedes Mone. She got every title there is in the universe. Apparently, 13 is an unlucky number, even in titles. Red Velvet came out hot. She attacked Monique right off the bat. The ref turned his back to put the title away. She's attacking her again. Velvet ended up rolling up Mone when the ref had his back turned, giving the title to the corner worker. Runs back over to do the count. 1-2. Mone rolls it over. 1, roll over. It's consistently like 4 or 5 times to us. I'm like, okay, this little spot needs to stop rolling around the ring like this. But Velvet, this super sunslip flip off the top rope, which was pretty wicked to watch by Red Velvet. But to me, this is one of those matches you can't point to like this spot, but it was just enjoyable to watch. It was one of those women's matches that you just realize you have 2 talented women in there. The whole adage, you don't have to get over to go over. I think in this case, Red Velvet got over with a lot of people based on the way she wrestled Mercedes Mone. 13 minutes and 44 seconds. I gave this match 3 3/4 star, with Red Velvet becoming your new ROH Women's World Television Champion. Two-time champion. Next up, we had the Ring of Honor World titles on the line. Now, they have been vacated due to injuries and whatnot. It's actually been a kind of a wonky situation. Sammy Guevara has had the titles. So Sammy had them with Dustin Rhodes. And then August of this year, the titles had to be vacated due to injury, because Dustin was out with a knee replacement. Sammy ended up winning them back as part of LFI, Law Faccion Ingobernable, with ROH. ROH got injured, so they had to vacate the titles. And then we had the match here, which we had LFI's Sammy Guevara teaming up this time with Beast Mortos, taking on Adam Priest and Dynamite Kid's son, Tommy Billington. And you had Billington did a missile drop kick off the top rope on the Mortos. Hichileo came out, was getting involved. Now remember, our main event is that Survivor of the Fittest match that has Hechicero, Sammy Guevara, and Beast Mortos, 3 of the 6 trying to get the title from Bandito. So now you have a member of the Don Callis family out here trying to help LFI get the tag titles. So when we get to that 6-way, it's kind of a three versus everyone else match. Well, LFI used that help to win the tag titles here. So now your new Ring of Honor tag titles champions, there's Law, Faccion, Ingobernable, Sammy Guevara, and the Beast Mortos, with help from Don Callis family's members, Hechicero. Okay, that's all going to come back to play later, too. Alright, I give that match 3 1/4. It was a good tag match, but it wasn't some of the tag matches we've seen in Ring of Honor over the years. Next up, we had kind of a tune-up match for Eddie Kingston before he faces Jon Moxley. He faced Josh the Goods Woods here, former Pure Champion Ring of Honor. This was kind of basically a strike fest. These two just kind of was mainly working on strikes and kicks and whatnot. Eddie Kingston getting the victory, 9 minutes and 45 seconds. I gave it 3 stars. A good little match. Next up, we had Shane Taylor Production trying to retain their World 6-Man titles. So we had Carly Bravo, Shane Taylor, Shane Dean taking on Skyfly, which is Dante Martin, Darius Martin, and Scorpio Sky. We had just a ton of people at ringside. We had Anthony Ogogo, Trish Adora, and Shane Taylor Productions side. On Skyflight with the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels and Leila Gray. This match turned into everyone get involved. Yeah. Martin did this standing Spanish fly on Carly Bravo. And then he did his top rope, just enormous crazy kicks. These guys are just flying around everywhere. There was so many different weird kind of translation moves. It's like they would do one move in the ring, jump on top rope, do the outside, come back in, do this, all over the place. Skyflight obviously taking their agility and their flying ability and going after the rough, tough Shane Taylor Productions. Then you had Leila Gray and Trish Adora fighting on the outside. They got in the ring. And then you had Anthony Ogogo getting in the ring, and you had Christopher Daniels hitting the Angel's Wings on him, and everybody getting involved, and it's like, oh my god. Carly Bravo did a slingshot move on one of the Martin brothers. Shane Taylor Productions ended up retaining their 6-man titles. This match just had some pieces all over the place. I ended up giving it 3 1/4. Wasn't a bad match, but it was kind of like some of the outside stuff I could have done without, but But still, your Ring of Honor World 6-man champions, Shane Taylor Productions. Excuse me. Next up, we had the first time ever an AEW championship on a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. And it was the newly crowned AEW National Championship which is supposed to be defended throughout the Indies. Huh, that sounds familiar. It's kind of like the WWID titles. Interesting. No, I love the idea of it. I mean, if Ricochet goes to Defy Wrestling or Progress or Red Pro and defends it, that'd be freaking awesome. I love seeing guys go to different places and defend titles and stuff. But yeah, AEW National Champion Ricochet taking on former Ring of Honor World Champion Dalton Castle. He had the boys at ringside. Yeah, these two just Ricochet's doing Ricochet stuff here, mainly this entire match. High flying, jumping around. He had his two goons out there a couple times, I believe. Yeah, just 3.5 star match, 14 minutes and 57 seconds. So good match, good amount of time, nice little first match for the AEW National Championship. Then we had the Ring of Honor World Title as the first main event of two, with the Ring of Honor Women's World Title was the actual main event. And then this was the Ring of Honor World Title in the Survival of the Fittest 6-way elimination match. First time ever for the Ring of Honor World Title. We had champion Bandito taking on Blake Christian of the Swirl, Hikasero of the Don Callis family, Commander, Sammy Guevara, and the Beast Mortos of the LFI group. So this was kind of the LFI guys teaming with the Don Callis guy, taking on the other three dudes. Blake Christian, obviously no affiliation to be in this ring. Kind of gets out of the ring, kind of like he did last year at the Survivor of the Fittest, and kind of let's just go hide off in the distance for a little bit. Of course, they go after him. Everybody starts fighting on the outside. Then that's the problem with some of these matches like this. You have just like two people in the ring fighting, and everybody else is kind of on the outside. And then you switch off with two more. This is an elimination match, so you end up having Commander eliminate Sammy Guevara after 11 minutes and 24 seconds. You had Herculeo eliminate the Beast Mortos after 13 minutes and 6 seconds. You had Blake Christian eliminate Commander after 15 minutes and 24 seconds. Before Sammy Guevara got eliminated, you had him turn on Hikasero, and in their little relationship they worked for like 10 minutes. And then you had Bandito eliminate Blake Christian, which brought it down to Bandito versus Herculeo, which was the match last year at Final Battle. They went on for basically 7 minutes, those two fighting, wrestling for the title. And then you had Bandito hitting the 23-plex and getting the 1-2-3 for the victory. 27 minutes and 53 seconds. Survival of the Fittest, and retaining his Ring of Honor World Heavyweight title. My guess is they're going to leave the title on Bandito until Roosh gets healthy. Then when Roosh comes back, I bet we see Roosh versus Bandito, which we were supposed to see here until Roosh got injured. So, but again, 4-star match, great sub-main show here, sub-main match for the show. Next up, we have the Ring of Honor World Women's title on the line. The forever champion Athena. 3 years ago, she won this title at Final Battle, taking on Persephone of CMLL. If you've never seen this Persephone wrestle, oh my, she is legit. She did freaking look like Drew McIntyre. The whole flip over suplex and just a kip up. It was like, whoa. I've seen dudes do this and not do it as well as she did. But these two, they just took it to one another. 27 minutes and 19 seconds of Athena and Persephone fighting. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing more you can say than that was a fight. And the fact that they're both so good in the ring that it made this match not even seem like it was that long. It seemed like it was 10 minutes long. And it's like, when we got all done, it's like, oh my, I'm tired from watching it. 4.25 star match with Athena retaining her Ring of Honor Women's title. But yeah, top to bottom, one of the better Ring of Honor Final Battles. A long show, yes it was. Yeah, I'm obviously AEW Ring of Honor and Tony Khan believe in that. And you know what? As a fan watching it, yes, it took me some time to watch it, but I enjoyed every minute of it. I've always enjoyed Ring of Honor. It is not your grandfather's Ring of Honor, no, but it is a modern day take on what a wrestling fan, if they booked a show, what they would book. I mean, generally, it's what it is. I'm hoping I know Tony Khan announced in the media scrum that going into 2025, we should see the same typical pay-per-views from Ring of Honor since Tony has taken over, which is the Supercard of Honor, Death Before Dishonor, and Final Battle. I know this past year they added a couple other ones. They did some shows with Action Wrestling. They did a show with CMLL and AEW. They did a Prelude to the Dream, Global Wars, and that kind of stuff, and Wrestle Dynasty. So I think Ring of Honor has a great future in professional wrestling. It's a good place. It gives a lot of guys and gals a place to work. They get some time on AEW as well. The indie scene in pro wrestling is not as hot as it has been, but I think it is in a good place. I know, fortunately, we're losing a couple indie show companies for the beginning of the year, but I think the ones that are out there is enough talent that can go wrestle. I mean, pretty much anybody on AEW typically can go wrestle indies, and some of them do. Same with Ring of Honor. So I think going into 2026, AEW and Ring of Honor are going to be in a good place. It'd be nice if Ring of Honor would get a TV deal, but we'll see what happens. But that is Ring of Honor Final Battle. As always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show. Don't just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader in sports channel content.